This episode contains material that may be triggering to some individuals. Please check the show notes for more information and be mindful of your own mental health and comfort levels. Quiet Connection is proud to be affiliated with the Blue Dot Project through Postpartum Support International. As an ambassador, I am dedicated to promoting perinatal mental health awareness, spreading the blue dot as a symbol of support and solidarity, and ending the stigma and shame. The blue dot is a universal symbol for perinatal mental health and is owned by the community. That means you. Anyone can use it. You'll notice a blue dot on all of Quiet Connection's social media accounts. To learn more, visit thebluedotproject.org. Welcome to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma around postpartum mental health. I'm Chelsea. Today I'm joined by Robyn, who shares her journey of love and loss after the stillbirth of her daughter Freya. Grief, especially in the postpartum period, can feel isolating. But through this conversation, we hope to offer connection, understanding, and a reminder that no one has to navigate this journey alone. Here's Robyn. Hello! Today I'm here with Robyn. Robyn, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
I'm so happy to have you. If you couldn't already tell, listeners, we have once again hopped the pond. We are not in the States today. Robyn is someone that I met through social media, through Instagram, and instantly fell in love with your mission and your message. Yes, and what you're doing. And I could just go on and on and on. But rather than doing that, I'd love it if you could sort of give us a little bit of introduction as to who you are and who you were before you became a parent.
Yeah, so I'm Robyn, obviously. I was just a normal, I want to say normal, but just a 28-year-old girl who had just moved in with a boyfriend. We'd been together for quite a while, so it took us 7 years to even do that part. Just working in an office, I was always the one that was up for an adventure, and I would get up at 5 a.m. to go for silly walks and find silly world pools that we could swim in. And yeah, really, just a girl's girl and obsessed with my friends and my family, and just always that person that would be there for everyone, I think. And yeah, just a very family orientated person.
Yeah, you sound like you were living your best life. You were,
Yeah.
you sound extroverted, like very opposite of me. Like you
I
will,
used to be.
yeah, I was gonna say you would
Yeah.
not see me up at 5 a.m. For any sort of adventure. But yeah, so that was Robyn. That was Robyn before. Talk to me a little bit about who you are today and what brought us into the same path.
Yeah, so we found out we were pregnant with our first baby. We got very lucky with Freya. We had the conversation, oh, we'll see how it goes, and we'll just try. And then 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So it was very like, oh, okay. So the pregnancy was normal. We had no worries the whole time. And then I was 38 weeks pregnant, and our baby girl's heart had stopped. So Freya was born sleeping at 38 weeks and 3 days, and she was perfect baby. So I am Freya's mummy, but unfortunately not in the way that I wanted to be.
So for anyone who, if you don't already follow Robyn, can you remind me it's what your handle is again? At
Yeah,
Freya
sorry.
Ray. At
Dear
Freya
Ray.
Dear Freya
Dear
Ray.
Freya Ray, yeah.
Yep. And yeah, I think what drew me to you initially was just how open and vulnerable and honest you were about the whole process of becoming Freya's mom and continuing that journey. So like I said, again, like I'm so excited. Like, excited sounds like a weird way to say it, but
I know. No, I know.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I know what you mean.
I'm thankful to be able to have this conversation with you, especially because, and I'm sure you can attest, like, this isn't something that people necessarily want to talk about.
No, no. A lot of people do. And it's one of them as well where I think unless it's happened to you and someone that you're close to, you don't really, nobody talks about it, you don't really know about it. But when it happens to you, you realise how many people it does happen to. But the world is just scared to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And right around the time that it wasn't at the same time, but around the time that I found your account, we had a similar loss in our family, and the things that you were posting and your vulnerability and your honesty was so helpful in helping me learn how to navigate that situation within my family.
I don't know.
Again,
I'm
I know
obviously I'm not glad that your family have to go through that, but I'm glad that you found it
yeah, and like
helpful.
again, it's hard for me, especially when I meet people like you that have impacted my life in such a way that I would just sit here for the full hour and just tell you all the ways that you're amazing. But this is your
Thank
time.
you.
This is your time and this is your story. So let's get into it a little bit. You said your pregnancy was normal and like,
Yeah.
yeah, you just felt, did you have morning sickness? Did you have like,
So I had a bit of morning sickness, but nothing where it was affecting my day-to-day life really. Yeah, it was just I'd just be sick once in the morning, I'd be fine and ready to go again. It was never anything that would stop me doing anything. All her appointments were fine. I don't know whether it's the same over there, but we have a chart at the midwife where they measure your tummy. So she did drop on the chart once at a midwife appointment. So we had an extra growth scan, but at that scan she was absolutely perfect as well. I'd even had a midwife appointment just over a week before, and her heart rate, the way she was growing she was perfect. She was textbook. I had a textbook pregnancy basically.
yeah.
Um, and then even the night before, she was absolutely fine. She was kicking away as normal. She was always very, very active, especially at night. So me and my partner would always just lie and watch her and laugh. And we did that as normal the night before because there was nothing different. And I'd just started my maternity leave. So I was on my own the next day. And I just got up as normal and I was doing some bits in her bedroom. And then I got in the bath and she was the most active in the bath. So I knew straight away like something wasn't right. Stephen was at work, my partner. So I just told him like I'm just gonna get booked in at the triage and just get checked out and make sure she's okay. And you just expect to go in and just be like, oh, she's just being lazy and go home, and you just expect to be home and in bed that night, don't you? But unfortunately, we got the news that no parent wants, and Freya's heart had stopped. So yeah.
At that point, so you went to an appointment at triage. Were you alone when you got?
No, my partner managed to get out of work, so he came with me. And then obviously they told me and my partner, and then we got my mum to come up afterwards. Yeah, so I wasn't on my own, thankfully.
I cannot imagine what that moment must have felt like, especially like you said, having her be such an active baby and then just seemingly out of nowhere. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what that process is like? I can only imagine like the world kind of closes in when you
Yeah,
hear
you're
those
kind of
words.
just in a bubble, and it's not until, I think personally anyway, it's not until you leave the hospital after giving birth that that bubble kind of pops. But
Mm-hmm.
even then afterwards, I feel like we kind of tried to keep that bubble as much as we could. Just me, my partner, and my mum. But yeah, I'll go into it. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. When I don't remember much about when they actually told us that Freya had obviously passed away. So the midwife tried to find a heartbeat on the Doppler. Obviously she couldn't find anything, and then she went to get the doctor. This felt like the longest 5 minutes of my life. It felt like we were there for hours, but it only took them about 5-10 minutes to get the machine up and do the ultrasound. But yeah, they obviously said that Freya's heart had stopped, and my partner still says now that he can remember the scream that I let out. And I think I just went numb because I don't really remember much about that time period. And then I remember probably about an hour or so later, my mum had come over and they moved us to a bereavement suite. And at that moment, I hadn't really thought about the fact that Freya was still in my tummy and she had to come out.
Yeah.
So I was probably sat there for about 2 hours, and then all of a sudden this just came into my head. And I asked my mum, are they going to make me give birth? Like, what do I do now? So my mum was like, obviously, like, I don't know, because you don't plan to be in that situation. Nobody knows what happens. So we sat down with the midwives and we went through like the pros and cons of a cesarean and natural birth. So I chose to get induced and try to give birth naturally before we went down that route. So they gave me, I'm not sure what the tablet's called, but it's a tablet that stops your hormones. So they gave me that night, and then we went home. And then we went back the day after, and I was induced 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. the next day, yeah. And then Freya was born 12:42 the next morning.
I imagine that all feels like a complete blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that like that thought of like, oh, she's still like, I still have to, because you're absolutely right. Like you don't think about that. You don't think about that outcome. So I know relatively what the process is like here in the States when that situation happens beyond 20 weeks. I'm not as familiar with what it's like over in the UK, but I know it's not great here. But we're making efforts. So I'd love to know, like, what step was there any support for you in the hospital while you were there having to go through labor or anything?
So the bereavement midwives, I can't remember how many there was on a team, but I have to say, while we were in the hospital, the midwives were incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, they were amazing. I can't fault them at all. And there was one midwife who was just an angel, to put it in there. Like, she was just amazing. And yeah, while we were in the hospital, they were really, really good.
And again, because I haven't experienced it personally, I had never even heard the term bereavement midwife. So
Yeah.
I can't even tell you if that's
Me
something
neither.
that we have here, right? Like, I'm not sure, but yeah, so you had to endure labor to bring Freya into the world. What was that moment like for you?
It almost gets me angry because when I look back, and when I used to think about giving birth to Freya, obviously when I was pregnant, I look back now and I probably had the most perfect birth that I could have wanted with Freya, just the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
It so they started the induction process at 2 o'clock, and between 2 and midnight there wasn't really anything happening. But then at midnight I went from my waters breaking to it being here 40 minutes later, and
Wow.
it was very quick, to the point where I didn't have any time for any medication or anything like that, so I just had gas in her the whole time. And that's what I wanted. Like, I got the birth that I wanted, but I just didn't get the baby at the end of it. Well, I did. I still got my baby, but not in the way that I wanted. And I think as well, I kind of went into a shock mode when she was here. I think it just didn't sink in until I didn't hear her cry. Because we'd spoke about it before, and I told the midwife that I wanted her straight away still when I'd given birth, and I wanted to do skin to skin with her, but I went into shock to the point where my mum had to grab me and said, "Robyn, she's here. Do you want her?" So obviously, then I just came back round, and then obviously I wanted her, so she gave him to me. But I was really sick after birth, after labour, so obviously I'm being sick and trying to hold her and stuff. It just wasn't working. So we got myself all cleaned up, and her daddy had a hold, and my mum and that, so and then I don't really remember much after that until we was back into the room, because they move you into a delivery suite whilst you're in active labour,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get moved back into the bereavement room. I remember they weighed her and they did her measurements and her hand and footprints for us, and then we moved back into the bereavement suite afterwards.
So here in the States, there isn't really necessarily a time frame on how long, like you can kind of stay as long as, is it kind of, was that sort of
Yeah,
your
pretty much.
experience as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do say
Yeah.
you can stay as much as you want, but then they obviously do just make you aware that they might need the room for someone else, obviously. But yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much as long as you wanted.
Yeah. So you got to spend some time with her
Yeah, so
afterwards. Yeah.
Freya was born early hours of Saturday morning. So we spent Saturday with her, and then on the Sunday was Father's Day.
Mm.
So we spent the Sunday with her, and then we went home on the Monday. I don't want to go into it too much, but obviously baby's body was deteriorating and we didn't want to remember in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But then we did say this, and then afterwards we still visited her every day because she went to the funeral home on the Monday, and we just couldn't stop ourselves, and we just ended up going back every day. So we visited her Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then on the Friday, obviously her skin was not in the best condition, and we kind of had to tell ourselves then that it was time.
And I think, again, it's important that you're highlighting these things because these are processes that we don't think
Yeah.
about. Especially, you don't think about them when you're getting pregnant, when you get that pregnancy test. You're not thinking about them when you're going through your pregnancy.
No.
And but it is important to talk about because it is a reality. It's a reality for so many people. And the decisions that you make for you and your family afterwards are, there is no wrong. There is like, there's no rules. There is no
No,
wrong
you
way to
just,
do this.
we look back now and we think, I wish I did this and I wish I did that and I
Mm-hmm.
wish I'd have done this differently. But in that moment, you're just doing what you think is right to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're just not thinking, you can't plan for that situation. So
Mm.
yeah, it is just doing what you think is right in that second.
Something that you have shared more recently that I've found so powerful is like you will share pictures of Freya, and Freya is beautiful.
Thank you.
Um and something that you've shared more recently is this whole stigma around putting a content warning
Mhm.
around pictures of your daughter,
Mhm.
and I immediately got all the big feels what like just like when I was like, you don't, like, why should you have to put a content warning
Mhm.
on pictures of your child?
It was a comment that I got on one of my posts. I don't use TikTok that often, but I'd started doing some bits on it, and a lady had commented saying, "Can you put a trigger warning on for us expecting mothers?" And luckily, that's the only comment that I've ever had. But it got a lot of people very angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so like, so again, like, I'm not a lost mom, so
Mhm.
it's not something I say that over and over again because it's not something I don't ever want to say like, oh yeah, I can understand that, or I can, like, because I can't. I just can't. Um but my initial instinct was like mama bear mode. Like, no, that's her child. That's her child. And it really goes hand in hand with so much of what is stigmatized around
Yeah.
pregnancy in general, pregnancy, childbirth, perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, stillbirth, infertility. It's like, don't talk about it. If we
Yeah.
we don't want to scare new parents.
Yeah.
But my initial like gut reaction was like, no, this is her reality. And just because
Yeah.
it doesn't match your reality,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not
And
shame.
I
Right.
think as well, a lot of lost mums were messaging me and saying, well, we live with triggers every single day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
our whole life is unfortunate. We live around them now, and we're not asking for triggers on people walking down the street with a pram, or walking through the supermarket. We're not asking for a trigger warning on the baby aisle, and we're not asking for a trigger warning for people's living children. And yeah, it was just, I'll never trigger warning her to please someone else. Like, it's just, no, never.
No, and again, like, personal choices. If that's what you choose to do for your family, then that's fine. But my heart immediately went out to you. And like I said, my mama bear mode went up like, whoa, 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 wait a second
Yeah.
here. But I mentioned that because it goes hand in hand sort of with the whole process, is like there's no right or wrong way to
No.
navigate
No,
this.
some people don't even want to share pictures of the babies, and that's absolutely fine as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's all personal choice, but we should be able to do it in the way that we want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about sort of where you were at during those first few days and weeks, and what sort of support system you had around you to navigate. And I don't even know the answer to this question. I'm not sure how and when you did say good night and goodbye to Freya.
Yeah, so Freya went to the funeral home on the Monday. We visited her the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on the Friday we went to see her, and that was the last time that we saw her. So we did say bye to her on the Friday, and then her funeral was the following Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
It was the sunniest day I think we'd had all year last year. It was a beautiful sunny day. Um, the day itself, I don't really remember much of it. I remember getting into the car. So when it's a baby, they tend to have, rather than the standard funeral cars where you can see the coffin,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to have it where the baby's in the car with the parents. So Freya was in front of us in the funeral car, and I remember that, and I remember seeing her coffin. Obviously, she had a beautiful pink wicker basket, so it was nice. Not nice, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And then I remember somehow I was just in the service, if I'm honest. I don't remember much about who was there. I do know that there was that many people that turned up for her, that there were people standing up all the way outside of the crematorium. So it's a beautiful thing that so many people turned up for her and for us. Loads of people tell me now that when the car had pulled up to Freya's funeral, that they can still hear the scream that I let out because I couldn't get out the car. And my mum tells me now about how much it took her to get me out of that car. And yeah, and then I don't remember much of the service. I did write some words that I'm not really sure what, like, people that run funerals, we had someone that did it for us.
Yeah.
So she read that out because none of us wanted to speak. I remember just writing that one night, a few nights before, when I couldn't sleep, and I hadn't even spoke to my partner about us saying anything or anything like that. I just thought, oh, I need to write something. And we picked some songs. We had Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and we had A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes from Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had Beautiful Pink and White Roses, because that's a birth flower. Um, and then, yeah, I remember walking out of the crematorium and saw all these people, but I was so overwhelmed that I just had to get back to the car. Um, and yeah, I think up until Freya's funeral, we were kind of just in auto mode, and it was kind of just like, right, we have to do this, we have to do that. So the grieving process, I wouldn't say even started. We always say now when we look back that you can't count them 2 weeks,
Mm.
because it was very much like, this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done. You're just running on autopilot. So it was only really after the funeral, really, that I think we started to process things, and I didn't do that very well, if I'm being totally honest with you.
I mean, I don't think there is a
No,
way to
no,
process.
there's
Yeah.
I I don't think anyone could ever process this completely.
Yeah.
It's it's not the way of life. You're not supposed to lose your child. Like, it's just shit.
It is
It really
shit.
is. It really is just shit. Um, so yeah, for I'd probably say about 3 months, it took my mum and my partner all their time to even get me out of bed. I'm being totally honest with you. I did have good support. My mum still comes here every day, bless her. She's amazing. She's the most incredible person. And obviously my partner, Stephen, is the best partner and the best daddy that we could have ever asked for. And I was not lucky because I wish that she didn't know how this felt, but I was very lucky that my community midwife, who I saw throughout my pregnancy with Freya, she came to see me the day that we got back from hospital. She won't mind me saying this. She knows that I speak about it. And I did it. Obviously, she doesn't tell her mummies this, like when they're just going in for their appointments. But she'd lost her little boy. So he died I think it was 8 hours after he was born. So she'd obviously heard about Freya, and it was quite strange because so her little boy Luca was born. He died on the 13th of June. And we found out that Freya's heart had stopped on the 13th of June. So all the dates like kind of hit, and we were just like, wow. And so she's been an amazing support, and she still is now. We still message her now, and we still talk all the time. And so she was a massive help. She got me referred for my counselling and everything like that. So yeah, very, very good support, and my family's just incredible. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask about definitely like therapy or counseling or things like that. Um and yeah, you're right. The timing of that is so strange, but I I'm not a religious person, but I definitely am like I believe in like energy and higher power and
yeah,
things
see,
like that. But
I never used to believe in stuff like that until
right, like
until we lost Freya. I think sometimes like live events just make you think a lot differently about things, don't
mhm.
they? Now I believe in it all, and I'm like, that's a sign. That's a
Yeah.
sign
Well,
with
yeah,
everything.
like again, this is my personal opinion and I usually don't bring those to the table, but like again, hearing you say it, I was like it sounds like Luca and Freya brought you guys together.
Yeah, definitely.
Um but so it sounds like you did. You had an amazing support system, but even with the greatest support system, um this is not something that you can prepare
No,
for.
no.
And I'm curious too, like through the counseling and through that midwife that you're still so close with, were you able to find a network of other moms who had experienced loss, or is that not something that you find helpful?
Yeah, definitely. So I found reading other people's stories massively helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I got some books and I was reading them. I read, I don't know whether you'll have heard of it, Elle Wright. She wrote a book about her little boy who passed. And then Zoe Clark Coates, her stuff helped me. And then I found that writing it down helped me as well. So I don't know whether you've seen the blog. So I started the blog,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then I started the Instagram. And then all of a sudden I have this whole community of lost mums that are just incredible that I don't think I would have got through this without, because I always say that sometimes you could have all these people around you, but if they don't truly understand what you're going through, then and they can't unless you've lost a child, there's no way you could understand. You feel so alone. Like I could have my whole family in this room, but I still felt more alone than I've ever felt because no one in that room could truly understand how I was feeling. So I think as soon as when I started that Instagram and all these lost mummies were following me and we got talking and just having that community and having people that know how you're feeling every day, and for me it helped people that were further on in their journey, and it gives you that little bit of hope that you are going to find happiness again. You are going to be able to live again.
Yeah, it's important to know, and I want listeners to know and to understand, like, this was not very long ago for you. And
No.
I remember when we were chatting, I was like, Robyn, we can do this whenever. Like,
Yeah.
I want to honor you, and I want to honor Freya, but like, I realized that this was not that long ago. And so the strength that it takes for you to show up and tell your story today
Thank you.
is incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you remind me, because I think the last time, was it 8 or 10 months ago now?
8 months ago.
8 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yes, listeners, you are still very fresh in this journey. And I hate to even call it a journey, because like you said before, it's shit.
Yeah.
It's shit. Um And there another thing that you have posted several times that resonates with me and resonates with a lot of moms is like, no, not everything happens for a reason. Some things
Hmm.
are just wrong and shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Um, and I do admire that about you. I admire how honest you are every day about what
Thank
you're
you.
feeling and what you're
Hmm.
going through. Because one, it's real life. It's real life and it's authentic. I can only imagine what kind of solidarity it's offering to other lost moms. And then to people like me who are following you who have not experienced that, it's helping me to, again, I'll never understand, but it's helping me to learn, like, okay, like, this is how you step up for someone
Yeah.
who has gone through
Yeah.
this. This is what you absolutely do not say to someone
Hmm.
who has gone through this. This
Yeah.
is right. Maybe if you could, again, every experience is different, but and you share about this every day on Dear Freya Ray on Instagram, but for listeners, like, if you want to talk about personally things that have been the most helpful for you and things that have been absolutely the least helpful for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing is just showing up, just and me and my partner always say that it's better to say something than nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like we look back and we remember the people that didn't say a thing. And don't get me wrong, we understand that it's a hard situation and it is difficult to know what to say, but we know ourselves that nothing that you can say will make this better. It got to the point where we were like, there's so many people just not saying anything because they don't know what to say. It's like we got sick of people using that excuse.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say much. Like, my cousins would just send me a little heart emoji every day, and they would go to my mum just to see how I was and stuff like that. Just checking in and not being afraid to talk about them because that was the main thing with me. I remember someone had come round, one of our family members, and we could tell that they were trying to avoid it, and we were like, "No, you can talk about her,"
Yeah.
because that's hard for us because we don't want her to be forgotten. Like, she's still our child, and she'll always be our first baby, and she'll always be a part of us, and we want other people to involve her in our family as well at the same time. So I think the main thing is genuinely just being open about talking about them and letting the parents know that they're comfortable around you to talk about them and you're comfortable to let them. Um, and I think as well is not thinking that there's a time frame on people's grief
Mm-hmm.
because there isn't. And I get really frustrated, especially now being 8 months in, that it feels like a lot of people think that we should be okay. And I don't know whether you saw, but I put a post up the other day where grief can look like this, but it can also look like grief can look like you're in the pit of it and you're doing nothing but crying, but it can also look like you're smiling and you're finding little bits of joy. Like the grief is still there. And I think it's still important, no matter how long it's been, to check in on people and see how they are and just asking if there's anything that you need. And yeah, because it's almost frustrating, like people have forgot that you're still grieving
Mm-hmm.
and you almost feel forgotten about while obviously everybody has to get on with their lives, but you feel like you're down here and everyone's forgotten about you while they're just living their perfect little life. So
Yeah.
I find that really, really difficult. And like, I don't feel like I'm asking for much personally, like just a message every now and then. But then also, I've always been that kind of person. Like, I'm such a, like, not to blow my own trumpet, but I'm so caring and thoughtful that if I knew that someone was struggling and someone was going through something so heartbreaking, that I would be there constantly. And personally, for me, I don't think there's anything worse than losing a child.
Yeah.
And it never goes away. Like, yeah, like it's just that grief that I think you're reminded every single day when you've lost a child of what you've lost. And you don't just lose a baby when you lose a baby, you lose a toddler, you lose a teenager, you lose an adult, you lose all stages of your child's life. And I think the main thing is just not forgetting about the baby and not forgetting that them parents are still grieving and they probably will be forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do remember you posting that.
Mm.
Also, something that I learned from you um, was not being afraid to say their name and not being afraid to talk about them. When I don't even like saying them, but like your babies, like talking about Freya and
Hmm.
Freya existed and Freya
Yeah.
is your daughter.
Yeah.
So, and to hear you say too, like you're a caring person, even in the midst of all of this grief and all of this just unimaginable heaviness, like you are supporting others in what you're doing, in what you're posting. And like, so again, I'm like referencing social media, but that's the problem with having, I call them pocket friends, like people that you know from all over the world that you like don't actually get to see. But like, I absolutely love being able to see the things that you're doing. Like for Christmas, you did these like virtual ornaments and with
Yeah.
messages, and you have this lovely, I don't even know, is that your garden? Is that your garden that you
No,
no, okay, because
no.
I'm
So
like,
it's a rose and sensory garden. It's in a park near. It's literally around the corner from our house.
okay,
So obviously Freya's birth flower was a rose.
yeah,
So we put a bench and a bunny sculpture in the rose garden for her.
and it's beautiful. And you
Thank you.
guys, well, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that her back garden? Like
No,
that's beautiful.
I
Like
wish. I wish it was.
um but like it's not, what you're doing is not only for Freya, like you're always asking other moms, like send us your baby's names, send us these things and we will include them in what we're doing. And that's remarkable because even in the
Thank you.
midst of your own grief, you're still looking to
I think,
serve
yeah, I
others.
think for me, I just love seeing a name and I
Yeah.
just love seeing it in different places. So I just know how much that means.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually fitting something new in the garden this weekend. So we've got more animal sculptures made and we're putting a plaque up and they're going to be dedicated to all the babies that have been lost. So
I know, I've been seeing little sneak peeks of
did you
the
see them?
sculptures. Yes. This is going to be the hard part about podcasts is like this is going to be aired like weeks and months from now. So you're going to have to, like, listeners, dig back. First of all, follow Robyn. Second of all, go back and dig through because these
They'll
sculptures
be
are
there.
beautiful. They're beautiful. One thing when we're talking about, like, again, like the grief never goes away and that everybody is going to process this differently, I think another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you're still postpartum. Your body
Mhm.
is still postpartum. You're still
Mhm.
healing postpartum, but you don't get to hold Freya.
Mhm.
Can you talk at all about what that is like?
Yeah, so I do feel like a lot of people do forget that. Like,
Yeah.
people do forget that we're still postpartum, we still give birth, we still go through the postpartum stage. And I think for me, the hardest part is having a postpartum body
Mm-hmm.
and having no baby to show for it. Um, I very much struggled coming to terms with that. Um, for months, I couldn't shower on my own. My partner would be in the room with me the whole time because I would just get too like engrossed in my body and just get so worked up that I couldn't function. I'm still very much on the journey of coming to terms with it. Yeah, it's a tough one. For me personally, I do really struggle with it. Because when I was pregnant, I embraced it, and I loved that my body had done this and that my body could grow a baby. And I always thought that, yeah, maybe I wouldn't have liked my body that much, but I would have been proud of it
Yeah.
afterwards. But it's hard to be proud of it now when I know everyone will say to me, it's not your fault. And it wasn't my fault. I know it wasn't, but you still think I'm angry at it because it didn't do what it was supposed to do. So yeah, it is a very difficult one for me, that.
I'm definitely not trying to like dance around questions, but I also want to be super sensitive about the
Yeah.
way that I ask questions. Because again, like you don't owe any part of your story to anyone. So through this whole process, I'm just thankful that you want to share and want to share about these things because again, I'm saying it over and over again for people who haven't experienced it and may experience something like this in the
Yeah.
future. It's important to know. And for those who have experienced it, it's important for them to know that they're not alone. So yeah, just reiterating again, because you're amazing. Just want you to know how
Thank
amazing you
you.
are. Well, no, I don't know. I don't even know how to word this. And this is so like I'm like not on my host game right now, but like I think there are certain people that kind of cross my path through this journey with Quiet Connection that I feel called to connect with. And I never really know exactly what the reason is or what it is, but from the moment I stumbled on one of your posts, I instantly was like, this person is doing incredible things amidst one of the most horrible things that could ever happen to a person. So
Thank you.
yeah, so I like I said in the beginning, I could spend the whole hour telling you all the things that I love about what you're doing. Um, but you're Robyn. You're Robyn, you're Freya's mom, you're a partner, you're a daughter, you're a friend, and you still find a space in your heart for others. And that I think is incredible. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm
Thank you.
sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's fine. It's nice. I think for me, I think that's just my way of parenting her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
That
think it's just my way of being her mummy because it's the only way that I can.
yeah, and you know that I love that. I That's a perspective that I
Yeah.
wouldn't have, but I love that. That's how you are being Freya's mom. That's how you're
Yeah.
honoring Freya. Um so something that has brought me joy is when you share the things that are sort of like your symbols for Freya.
Mhm.
So like the bunny and the book Guess How Much I Love You.
Yeah.
And I think it's cherries, right?
Yeah.
Like yep, and cherries. And so I love you when anytime you get like a new sweater or like a new little doodad and you share. And then again, like Cinderella, I loved it. I loved your Cinderella nails. I thought those were beautiful.
They were my favourite ones.
Yeah.
I have cherry ones at the moment.
Yeah. But so what can you talk a little bit about some of the like symbols and ways that you keep Freya a part of your family's daily life?
Yeah, so bunnies, a lot of people think it's because of the book, and it does play a part. But on Freya's first scan, she looked like a little bunny. Um, and then her first baby girl had a little bunny on, and without us even thinking, that was the one that her daddy picked out. And then we obviously Guess How Much I Love You was the book that we read to her, and then without even thinking, so we sent quite a few things with her, and everything was bunny themed, and we didn't even realise until afterwards. So that's where the bunnies came from. Um, Roses is obviously Freya's birth flower, so that's a big part. And obviously her bench is at the rose garden, and me and my partner go pretty much every day, and so does my mum. And then we have the cherries. Freya's last baby girl was cherries, and it was my favourite one the whole time that I was pregnant. I just had to have this cherry baby girl. I don't know what it was, I just loved it. And then we have Winnie the Pooh, because when Freya was in my belly, her daddy used to read. I have this very old Winnie the Pooh collector's book from when I was a baby. So my partner used to read to her every night. It's got little poems at the back, so we would choose a poem and read that to her. And then obviously Cinderella, because A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes is her song. So that's the story behind all them, and we try to. I mean, there's a little piece of Freya in every room of the house, and she started off with one shelf, and now she's got so many. It's just. But I always say, and then obviously my whole wardrobe is like Freya now, but we always say that if she was here, we would have spoilt her rotten, and we can't do that. So now we just buy things that make us smile and help us remember her by. So that's just our little way of keeping her in every day. And yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that there are so many things to choose from that make you think of her, right? Like, because you can find a little bit of Freya anywhere.
Yeah, and I've loved like all the Valentine's Day stuff at the moment, because it's all been cherries.
Yeah.
There's been so many cherries everywhere, and I've loved it. I'm gonna be so sad when they all go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that's another thing that I think again is like personal to every family, but I've found more often than not is keeping baby a part of every day, because they're your family. They're your family. So with all of those things, like you have, like you're pouring yourself into the garden and sprucing it up with new critters and all of your projects and everything. I know that a lot of days are really hard, and nights seem to be really hard for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you coping, especially like you've just started going back to work a little bit? How do you cope with those nights where you're just not finding sleep, and then you have to carry on with your day?
Yeah. I don't know how I cope, if I'm being totally honest. I think I struggle the most at nights, because my partner Stephen, his way of grieving has always been sleeping. So his body is always healed from rest.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't really struggle with the night times. So I think I find it hard, because I'm led there awake on my own, and I shouldn't be on my own. My baby should be there with me, and I should be up in the night for her. And so I think that's why I struggle a lot at night, and obviously the rest of the world's asleep.
Yeah.
And everywhere's silent apart from your own head, basically.
Yeah.
I have got a Kindle now, and that does help. I just kind of like read myself to sleep.
Yeah.
I have had that, and that does seem to help a little bit, but there are still some nights where it's just so hard to switch off. And I think I speak to a lot of mums, and a lot of them struggle at night time. I think that's the hardest part of the day, especially for me.
Yeah. I catch you most of the time because of the time difference when you're up in the middle of the night, and I know when you're posting, I know what time it is over there, and I'm like, oh, like I wish I could just like reach through and give you a hug. You know what I mean? Like so you've got your Kindle now. I saw you've got your Kindle and you're starting some new books. It's really weird. I don't know if it's like a lot of us moms who have experienced trauma, all different kinds of trauma. This seems to be the year of the Kindle. Like everyone is getting back. Everyone's getting back into reading.
It
Because
is.
I did the same thing. Like,
Yeah, massively. I've noticed that too. I was always that person. I'm going off here, but I
no,
was
it's
always
okay.
that. Me and my friend were the same. We always said, no, I like the physical book.
Me
I'm never gonna
too.
get a Kindle because I like the physical book. And now I don't think I could go back to the physical book.
No. No. Well, because you can read it in the middle of the night and
And
nobody
it's so
knows. And
much
like,
more comfortable lying in
yeah.
bed with your Kindle than a book like this.
Yes, and you can hold it with one hand.
Yeah.
I want to get a pop socket for mine so that I can really do it
Yeah,
one-handed.
I actually bought as well a little page turner where you clip it on and you have a little remote. So I can literally I pop it up on a pillow in my bed and I just lie there and I use this little remote to turn the pages.
I love it. Oh
So
my
I'm such a
gosh.
lazy reader now.
No. No, I think you're a smart reader now. No, I don't know, but buy stock in Kindle, I guess, because like we're all going Kindle crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so that kind of leads into one of my questions. I was gonna say, like, nights are hard and that, but like, what are some things that are bringing you joy? What are your glimmers?
Um, so I paint a lot. Um, I enjoy painting and I paint candles for mainly for the lost mums. I think a lot for me is helping others
Mm-hmm.
and spending time at Freya's bench, and our dog helps me very much so. He's the best.
Your dog is so freaking cute.
He's so cute, I must admit. Everyone says that. I'm like, oh, he's so handsome. And he is, he's the cutest dog, but he's a little monkey at the same time though. But he's funny, like he's funny with it. He's got such an attitude, and it's strange that you see that from a dog,
Yeah.
but yeah, he helps a lot. We got him after we lost Freya to try and help with our grief, and I think he has helped massively, and he just keeps you busy as well. And it's for me, he's my reason to get up in the morning because I know that he needs a walk and he needs his breakfast, and yeah, he gave me something to live for, if I'm honest. I know a lot of people think that they're just pets, but
No.
no,
No.
definitely not.
No.
Definitely not for me.
Those are the people who don't have pets.
Yeah.
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 They don't get it.
No. And yeah, I think just helping others and just trying to find ways to keep Freya's memory alive is just my main thing at the moment, and knowing that I'm doing that is what keeps me going.
Yeah, and you're fighting an impossible battle, but you do it every day. You do it every day. You get up and you do it every day. Again, just the authenticity and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and honest is not something you see on social media. Social media is very much a painted picture
Yeah.
of a certain side of life, and you are so unapologetic about like, this is exactly what I'm feeling right now, and that's what we need more of.
I think for me, I find it so important because in them early days, I thought that I was almost going insane and I shouldn't be having these thoughts and this isn't how I should be feeling. So I think for me, it's kind of like, no, other people need to know that these thoughts are normal and feeling that way is normal after you've lost a child. And I needed someone to tell me that, and I was lucky enough to have my midwife that was telling me that. And I know that so many people aren't lucky enough to have someone so close to them to tell them that what they're feeling is normal. Because I think that was the hardest part for me is am I having normal thoughts right now?
Well, yeah, because and again, it's like wrapping it all the way
Yeah.
around is like, you don't prepare for this, so you
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
you can't prepare and you can't
Yeah.
know what you're going to feel. I think because and again, completely different situation, but like even like I still struggle with anger, when they talk to you about the stages of grief, and I don't know if anybody's talked to you about like radical acceptance. I can't get there. Um, but I anger, anger is a really, really difficult space to be in when you're
Mhm.
in the grief process.
Mhm.
But I feel like so many people like shy away from it or are like, you need to get past this. You need to get past it. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm not past it yet. And it's okay that I'm not past that yet. Um, so I appreciate that about what you share, because it's okay to
Yeah.
be pissed off.
Yeah. And it's okay to be pissed off for as long as you want to be as well. And as
Yeah.
long as you need to be.
Yeah. Exactly. That brings me to, I think, how we'll kind of wrap up. Well, I have two questions actually. I'll ask this one first and then I'll ask the other one. So yeah, like in terms of grieving and being pissed off as long as you need to be, or feeling what you need to feel as long as you need to feel, you needed to hear those words. And so you want to make sure that other people have that. For anyone listening to your story, what do you hope they take away from your experience?
Just that you're not on your own. I remember feeling like I was the only person in the world that this had happened to, and that I was the unlucky one. And yeah, we are unlucky, but you're not on your own. And unfortunately, there's so many people out there that have either experienced the loss of a child or know someone close to them that has. If you look at the statistics, and it's very possible that you do know someone that has gone through baby loss. And it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, and you need to feel that way at the same time. And I can guarantee that most lost mums and lost parents have felt the way that you're feeling right now. And there is, unfortunately, a lot of us out there that are willing to help other people. I'm saying unfortunately, I mean that unfortunately there's a lot of us, but I always say that it's a community that I don't want to be in, but at the same time, it's a beautiful one.
Mm-hmm.
It's one where we all want to be there for each other, and we all want to help lift each other up, and we all want to remember each other's babies. And it really is such a beautiful community that nobody wants to be in, but unfortunately we are. And the shittest thing is nothing's going to change that, and we're in it forever now. But yeah, it's a good one. It's
Yeah.
a rubbish one, but it's a good one.
That I can say I can understand. I can
Yeah,
understand that like it's a club you never want to join, but it's probably some of the most remarkable people you'll ever
yeah,
meet in your life,
definitely,
and supportive
definitely.
people. Um, I want to ask you before we wrap up, because I feel like this is important and I want to know, what do you love about being Freya's mom?
Everything.
Yeah.
I obviously hate that she's not here, and I would give anything to change that and to have her here and not be doing things like this. Like, I would give anything to for things to have been different, but she wasn't here for a long time, but she did so much. She showed us all so much, and she showed me how to be strong, and she gave me that strength to keep going. And I'll always be grateful for her for making me a mummy. She'll always be the girl that made me a mum.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just love everything about being her mum. And she'll always be my favourite person to talk about, my favourite person to tell her story about. And yeah, I'll always be grateful that she chose me to be her mummy.
Yeah. I am so thankful for you, and I'm so thankful for Freya, and again, like nothing I could ever say, like you said, would change the circumstance. And of course, I just appreciate you so much and
Thank you.
admire your strength. And um yeah, so if people want to find you and learn more about what you're doing, you have a blog and you're on Instagram. Is it both Dear Freya Ray?
Yeah.
Okay. And I love it because it's like letters to Freya.
Yeah, so that's where it came from. So my auntie bought me a book. I can't remember what it was actually called. Dear Freya Ray. It said on the book, and that's where it came from. So I started writing to her.
Yeah.
Using that.
Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time, even though you don't feel well, even though it's supper time, and I'm thankful every day that I get to witness your journey and learn more.
Thank you
about
for being
this.
there to see it.
Yeah, and I will always remember Freya and help to spread Freya's name. I'm very excited. My kids don't even know this, and they're not home, but so they won't know. But I'm very excited in October I'm gonna bring a stone to Disney for Freya.
Yes.
Freya has stones that you do, and you link, and so I'm gonna bring a Freya stone to Disney with me, so that she can have some Disney magic and you can have some Disney magic.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to learn more about Robyn, Dear Freya Ray, it'll all be linked in the show notes. And yeah, thank you for everything that you're doing and for choosing every day to keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robyn, for reminding us that grief doesn't follow a timeline and healing doesn't mean forgetting. And thank you for all that you do to support other moms who have experienced loss, as well as those of us who want to learn more about the best ways we can show up for our loved ones. As Robyn so beautifully shared, remembering Freya is an ongoing part of her motherhood, and she will never be forgotten. You can keep up with us on Quiet Connection by following us on Facebook, Instagram, Rednote, YouTube, and Threads at Quiet Connection Podcast. You can also find us on Blue Sky at Quiet Connection Pod. You can help our community grow by leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and consider sharing our episodes on social media. Be sure to check out our Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee accounts to support our mission and get exclusive access to bonus episodes and more. To share your personal journey, you can contact us through our website at quietconnectionpodcast.com or by email at quietconnectionppmh@gmail.com. Join us next time when another story is told and you realize you are not alone. I see you. Tired of sugar-coated parenting podcasts?
Odd Moms on Call keeps it real with raw, unfiltered convos about raising kids in a chaotic world.
From postpartum madness to political mayhem, we are the moms who say what you're really thinking.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Buzzsprout.
Because this is the group chat you actually want to be in.